score is a numerical score designed to represent how likely you are to pay back money that you owe. So, in human terms, can a financial institution trust you? There are lots of different types of score, and the models used to calculate them also vary, but they're normally calculated by standalone credit agencies like Experian and Equifax. Scores are most likely to be driven by your track record of taking credit and then successfully repaying it. But things like being registered to vote or being with a bank for a long period of time can also be important. Some countries, like Japan and France, don't really have formalised central credit scoring processes. It's more up to individual banks to decide who to lend to. And in some countries, like the Netherlands, there are central government credit registers that are used instead, and mainly just keep track of missed payments rather than your wider financial behaviour. So it gets pretty complicated pretty quickly, not ideal for something that can have such a big impact on all of our lives. In countries where you build a credit score by showing that you've used credit responsibly, it can be really hard. If you're young or have recently moved to a new country, for example, you just won't have had enough time to demonstrate that you're trustworthy. And credit cards, one of the main tools recommended for building your credit score, don't work for everyone. Many Muslims, for example, don't see them as being compatible with their faith. If you're able to build a credit score, you also then need to make sure that it fairly represents you. There are lots of ways of taking on credit that you might not even realise. Taking out a mobile phone contract, paying for something with buy now, pay later. Small payments which you might easily lose track of can end up as black marks on your credit file, and these can be really hard to get removed. So it can be hard to get a score in the first place, and then hard to keep track of it over time as well. In countries with formal credit scoring systems, people with higher credit scores generally get better credit terms. So that might mean you can borrow more money or pay less interest. Whilst banks are able to access this data, historically it's been more difficult for customers to see their credit scores. Agencies have typically charged for access, making it difficult for people to know where they stand and to spot inaccurate data on their files. But some banks, like Lloyds or Monzo with their paid offering now, are starting to partner with credit agencies to show your credit score within your banking app. Hopefully the first step in making the whole process more transparent. There are also some really interesting fintechs which are helping to make access to fair credit more equitable. Nova Credit are helping people to take their credit history with them when they emigrate, and Isuzu are collecting data on rental payments and savings contributions to help provide additional data back to credit bureaus for people who might otherwise struggle to build credit files. We want to see fairer access to lending for everyone, and evolving the credit scoring process is fundamental to making that happen.